Well, Georgia's been invited to the White House, and Georgia wants to go, but it's not going to happen. And Georgia has said that they are not headed to the celebration of change. I don't know what it's called. They're getting everybody there on June 12th. Here's what Georgia had to say. University of Georgia first received on May 3rd, so a week ago, an invitation for the Bulldog football team to visit the White House on June 12th. Unfortunately, the date suggested is not feasible given the student athlete calendar and time of year. However, we are appreciative of the invitation and look forward to other opportunities for Georgia teams moving forward. Let me go through this real quick. Y'all can have your political debate down below, which is fine. My personal belief, and I think most Americans should feel this way, is if you have the ability to go to the White House, you go to the White House. It's just what it is. And it's too bad because this is really the problem is that this is in the summer. And let me explain why. There are five NFL teams who have mandatory minicamp that day. So the Pats, Jags, Raiders, Lions, and Seattle all have mandatory that day. Virtually everyone else in the NFL has mandatory minicamp that next day on Tuesday the 13th. So I don't know what the obligations are the day before mandatory minicamp, but my suspicion is that all 32 teams want them there. So my guess is that anybody who was drafted, well, any of the 25 guys who won the national championship and got drafted and are in the league in the last 2 years, the likelihood that they could be there is very low. So that's problematic. So I think that's probably more than anything what it is. You do have classes on the 12th, which is a Monday. Now, I think you could get away with not going to class to go to the White House. But, the problem with this has been really more than anything, if you don't have the celebration in essentially right after in January, and even then, it's not great. If you don't have it right after in January, like right after the championship, or you don't have it in April, it becomes really tricky for college teams to pull it off. You can do it, but it's harder because as soon as you're done with your celebratory stuff that Saturday or whatever it is, the guys who are going on to the NFL, they're straight up in draft mode. Period. I mean, I've seen this. I have friends in this world. It's it is a very serious time. There are not hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, but there are tens of millions of dollars on the line for everybody who's involved. And so that's just not an ideal moment. And the further you get away from the championship, the harder it is to get the team together to be just being straight. I mean, you've seen guys, they have lives. There's things that go on, and Buck Blue lives in Atlanta. How often is he in Athens? He's there. It's just it's not all the time, right? I mean, it's I don't I remember the last time I saw Lindsey Scott was not in Athens, so I can't speak to where those guys are. When Herschel comes back, that's usually a pretty big deal. I'm trying to remember the last time Herschel was in Athens was in 19 maybe. Or was that 20? I can't remember. He was on the sideline. I can't, but he wasn't. It was not in a formal way. He was there for the start of the Peach Bowl for the Chick-fil-A kickoff game with Oregon to start the season. That was for Vince's. I mean, obviously that was political too for Herschel, but that was for Vince's birthday. If you want a copy of Double Dogs to celebrate Georgia's national championship, sign up for our newsletter below. It is, I'm giving 5 of these away, but you're running out of time. If you don't get it in soon, you will not be eligible to win. That cutoff is within days, so get it done now. I'm appreciative of everyone who's signed up. I'm going to send those all out on the 16th. I'm going to announce them, and then I'll send them out because I'm going to have to get your information. But, it is too bad, man. I mean, I just selfishly for me, I'd like to go to the White House. I've been there before. But not inside the grounds. They're not going to let somebody like me inside the grounds without some serious background check action. But it's a great, I have been to the White House, but only outside. It's surprising how not big it is. frankly. When you look at it on television, it looks like a pretty large facility or place. And I know there's underground and all this stuff, but um, I guess I always pictured it being bigger, but man, you know, it's not that far from the street to the White House at all. I mean, like that, the lawn is not that big. So it would have been awesome to see that anytime you get a chance to go to the nation's capital. I love Washington, D.C. It is a fun place to go. There's a lot of stuff to see, but that's not going to happen for Georgia. Now, I do wonder the next time, whenever that may be, that Georgia wins the national championship, how the White House, whoever the White House, is at that moment, will figure out how to get Georgia up there. But again, now it's challenging. I mean, it is challenging. You got to do it quick, and you got to figure it out quick. And frankly, I think more and more it's just going to be hard because of the calendar to pull it off. When I was talking to some people a year ago, before, so a year ago, keep in mind that we were still in the midst of, that was actually the worst part of COVID in terms of the numbers. So that just was not happening. There was just, I mean, Ukraine broke out soon thereafter. I mean, it was the the beginning of 2022 was crazy. So that was just not going to happen. But um, I do think that Georgia, now this is sort of settled. So they're not going to this group. Um, I think the only way, just logistically, that this group gets up there is obviously the next time it happens. And like 5 years from now, if that's the next time Georgia wins the national championship, like Jordan Davis and them are not going to be going to that. I don't think. I would like sort of insist on it all at once, but you know, it didn't happen. It's too bad, and I think it's awesome for the people that are going. As a former Division II person, as I proudly carry that banner, I think it's awesome to see that those champions are going to be up there as well. I think I read that. I'm going to double check that. But I think that everybody doesn't play in front of everybody doesn't play in front of you know 100,000 people um, every single day. Some of us did all the work, and it didn't it doesn't always work out. I mean, that you're going to play in front of 100,000 people. So I think it's great that they're celebrating um, young folks who are not just sort of the big people in all of this. Georgia, God, I forgot who won the men's. I know she won the women's basketball national championship. I can't remember. It was UConn. It was UConn. But I think it's gonna. It would have been awesome to go up there. College Athlete Day, and there will be. Let me see this. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just bumble through these because something pops into my brain, and I think it's great, frankly. To So the NCAA holds 90 championships. So see, some of the championships will not have been decided for this season. It's like if you're the NCAA and you win baseball, like when are you really going to go up there? I mean, when you're playing summer ball in August. So I don't know, but it looks like the FCS at least is going to go up there. Um, I think it's great. So it looks like George W. started inviting non-basketball and non-Division I football championship champions to the events, which I say kudos because, again, everybody's getting up at five. Five. We got up at 5:30 because we had practice at 6 or whatever it was. God. And if you weren't there 15 minutes early, then you were late, right? So thanks a lot. But um, that's maybe this is why I have a distorted view of time. But you know, it's still work. You're still running, you're still lifting, you're still shooting, you're still, doing whatever you're supposed to do. It is work. And I think that all of those folks, it shouldn't just be that we recognize, the NFL teams and Major League Baseball and NASCAR. Well, I guess NASCAR does. I don't know, but the professional folks, and it shouldn't just be that we recognize, Georgia or LSU and UConn in this says it should be that we recognize collegiate athletes. It's a very important system in our country. But as I was saying earlier, just logistically, I mean, I don't. I think if you're Georgia, you have to figure out how to make this work the next time because the White House extended the invitation. It's when they're doing it, with everybody else. I don't see, they're not just saying no, we're not going to do it unless you do it this special time. It just didn't work out, and I'm sure everybody's going to get fired up, and that's fine. But you know, that's you getting fired up. That doesn't mean it's reality.